All right, boys, we're going to be checking out Critical Drinkers 28 Years Later. Spoiler review. This guy is a poet when it comes to being cynical and very critical, and I appreciate it, man. So let's check it out. This is 28 Years Later.
You don't need me to tell you that 2025 has been a pretty disappointing year for movies, with back-to-back flops from Marvel, a Mission Impossible that kinda made me wish.
I didn't even talk about this movie because I was on my break, very hyped for the next, the end of Mission Impossible. The one before was phenomenal, and I don't really understand how they really dropped the bag with this one.
The franchise ended 2 movies
I would say, honestly, as a avid moviegoer for years and years now, there's always going to be gems that come out every single year, which I appreciate a lot, but there have been a lot of colossal failures when it comes to movies. I think for the last 3 years, honestly, but still, putting a date on it doesn't really matter. It's the overall production value that we're getting lately, and I just...
and a July that's shaping up to be a 3-way battle between a trio of movies that I couldn't care less about.
I'm probably going to go check out all 3, honestly, shamelessly. But, out of all 3 of these, which ones do I think could be most successful? Most probable to be successful, specifically, that's a big thing, probable, I would say probably Fantastic Four, but realistically, I think Jurassic World might be the best one. I could easily see Superman and Fantastic Four flopping. I could see Jurassic World flopping too, but I mean, it's got Black Widow in it, right? So it's got to be some type of good.
But if there was one cause for optimism in the festering wasteland of Hollywood this year, it was 28 Years Later, the long-awaited sequel to 2002's 28 Days Later that would continue the story of survival in a post-apocalyptic world ravaged by a viral outbreak. But Drinker, you booze-infected rage zombie, I hear you say, what about 28 weeks later? Just... don't worry about it. Anyway, I know it's just come out and everyone's anxious to avoid spoilers, so I'm going to keep this review short and mostly spoiler-free. Okay. I'll give you a general...
I'm not going to lie, I forgot about this in my review. If you want to go check out my review, you can. There was so much fucking things flopping around in this movie. It was nutty, and it wasn't just the women, bro. It was the guys, too. The zombies, obviously, is what I'm talking about. The nudists running around just going crazy. I don't remember that, but I haven't watched the other movies in a while, so I might have to go, freshen up. But that shit caught me off guard. By the end of the movie, I was used to it, but in the beginning, I was like, thank God I didn't bring my parents or, a loved one beside, my fiance. It's all good, She's seen plenty of flopping around in her. Never mind. Shit.
Sense of the plot without telling you how it ends or any of the major story beats, and make a few observations about the world building and characters without going into specifics. So with that in mind, let's get started, shall we? As the title suggests, the movie picks up 28 years after the rage virus outbreak.
Yeah.
Britain is now under quarantine from the rest of the world, and the scattered groups of survivors are now holed up in isolated, heavily defended communities. One of these is on a small island just off the mainland.
Wait, was there more than just one of them? I thought there was only one.
Where our main character Spike is getting ready to go out on his first scouting mission with his dad, while his ailing mum struggles with a mysterious illness. For me, this is by far the best written and best directed part of the film, briskly
100%.
establishing our main character.
I remember thinking to myself, I was like, ooh, maybe the disease she has is something with the zombies, right? And that then it was cancer. So what the fuck? It's a spoiler review. Whoops.
And fleshing out the state of the world,
it's
and
okay,
building up the tension and anxiety to the point where I actually felt kind of uncomfortable at times. You're left in no doubt that venturing off the island for the first time is both an important rite of passage and a huge fucking deal for any young person. If you get into trouble...
Yeah, this was fucking dope. Because everyone fantasizes at one point about a zombie apocalypse, especially guys, right, when they're growing up and you're tapping into that genre, right, playing a video game, watching a movie, whatever it might be, a comic book or whatever it is, right? It's just it's cool. And then you add the heroic journey that concept that's used in warrior movies and stuff like that. I thought it was fucking dope.
Trouble or go missing while you're right there, nobody is going to come looking for you. It also introduces us to the new and improved infected, making it clear that the game...
Yeah, I didn't realize these were zombies at first. I thought these were like Native Americans or like, not Native Americans, but like uncontacted tribes or something like that. I thought these were just crazies, and then it turned out they were zombies. Cause, bro, I was like, what is happening? Like, and they made them smart, like really smart.
Has definitely changed now. Again, I'm not going to go into spoilers, but the upshot is that the infected are now more than just mindless killing machines that are literally too stupid to even feed themselves.
Yeah.
They now have a kind of primitive animalistic intelligence.
They straight up blue-balled us with this bullshit. I can't, bro, I forgot all about this. I was so fucking mad about this fucking scene. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Because that's gotta be him, right? Because I remember people saying, oh, it's not him, but... bullshit. That's gotta be him.
Roughly on par with teenage council estate girls from Glasgow. Ooh. Mostly because I guess the writers had to account for how they've managed to survive this long.
Okay.
Anyway, Spike returns to the island to find his mum isn't doing too well at all.
Nope.
And when he learns of a reclusive doctor hidden away on the mainland, he decides this might be his one and only chance to help her.
I mean, it really is low-key. So he made the right move.
So the movie becomes a kind of post-apocalyptic road trip as Spike tries to guide and protect his increasingly ill mother through a very dangerous world in the vague hope of finding salvation at the end.
Yep.
But will they make it to the doctor before it's too late? And even if they do, is he all that he seems to be? Now, there's a lot to praise about 20...
I'm sorry, every time I look at this character, I think of John Locke for some reason. It's weird.
8 years later, and one of the strongest aspects of the film is the way it balances gripping, visceral horror and poignant emotional character beats without feeling forced or contrived. Yeah, you could probably argue that the infected helpfully choose not to show up whenever the script wants to slow down and have some big character moments.
For real. It does. But it is so deep, man, and I do appreciate the tones that they hit.
But that's pretty much par for the course with most films like this. The evolving relationship between Spike and his two parents forms the backbone of this film, and it's interesting to see the contrast between them. The intense, serious, practical father-son relationship based around survival and cooperation, where there's no doubt about who leads the way and who's expected to follow, versus the tender, reflective, and melancholy bond between him and his mum, where Spike more often than not has to take on the role of protector himself. Both have their merits, and thank fuck the movie doesn't try to make her into a tough-talking Hollywood girl boss. Credit.
I forgot all about that shit, bro. I had to sit and watch my fiance watch that show when I was playing video games or chilling or working on the computer, bro. And I kept on telling her, we can just watch the YouTube cinematics. It's got the key moments in the gameplay. It's got all the cinematics. It's 10 times better than this fucking TV show that they fucking butchered up. And we did watch a lot of it, and she's like, whoa, this is way more intense than the show. It's just... golly, the show is so bad, bro.
To Jodie Comer as well for her work on this one. Everyone in this film gives superb performances, but Comer in particular crushes it as a woman wrestling with her own fears and demons while still trying to fill the role of a mother.
Yeah.
Fuck knows what Americans are gonna make of the extremely regional British accents though. Geordies are hard enough even for other Brits to understand, never mind people from the rest of the world.
I don't think I had one, like, I didn't have an issue understanding them at all, I don't think. I didn't even, like, think the accents were too thick. Like, what? That's interesting.
Well, you didn't need to talk to me because you were effing and seeing there yesterday when I was kids. And I heard you. I heard you.
It was not like that at all.
Right.
When you get right down to it though, 28 years later is the story of a boy forced to become a man just a little too soon in a very harsh and unforgiving world. The painful lessons, failures and tragedies that mold us from innocent children into fully realized adults. The melancholy sense of...
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't talk about this in the review, but the scene really annoyed me where they're hiding in that building or church or whatever it was where they found the guy hanging at. And they're hiding from the alpha, right? And the building just like falls down, and so they book it for their place, like they're gonna make it now. It really threw me for the loop because I was like, shouldn't they ran earlier if they were just gonna run in general? Like, why? It was just like, this doesn't make any sense at all. It just felt so convenient for the plot, you know what I mean? And we got a great scene out of it. We got them getting chased, and that was so more cinematic than anything else that they've ever done. In my opinion, at least. This movie in general felt more cinematic with the shots that they were getting.
Loss that comes with,
Which is crazy that this was filmed on an iPhone, right? What an iPhone?
leaving behind who we once were to become
I've got an iPhone. Like,
who we need to be. And I think this is what Danny Boyle does so well with movies like this, balancing brutal survival and gory horror with moments of poignant, intimate character drama.
Yeah.
It's a story of survival for sure, but it's really a story about humanity, who we choose to be when we're tested to our very limits, what we're forced to give up to stay alive,
and how you push past those limits, and what means most to you, and you can tap into that energy from the writing and the relationships that they have. It's all authentic.
and what we manage to hold on to that makes survival even worth it. It's difficult for me to go into criticisms without spoiling the plot, but I will say that the film's narrative threads start to get a bit frayed towards the end.
Yeah.
One character gets put on ice for the bulk of the film with no real explanation of what he's doing or why. There's a moment where a new character drops into the narrative that felt kind of contrived and didn't add a whole lot to the story. Others supposedly smart and
All it did, what he's talking about is a SWAT guy, obviously. All I feel like his character did was add plot armor so that they could be protected, but also give an awesome cinematic of him getting he got ripped up, right? And then, kind of prepping the kid, because obviously he eventually will stack his mom's skull on top of a skull pyramid. Me saying that sounds insane, but that's what happened. And so they first naturally, he takes the guy that saved him, that got ripped into pieces by the alpha, who's just swinging meat for the fences, He took that guy's skull, burned it first to, get him comfortable with the concept of, okay, instead of having a funeral, instead of, burning the body and scattering the ashes, we're just going to burn your mom's head into, down to the bone. That way it's just her skull. We'll clean it. We'll use Dove soap and everything. If we've got it, it's obviously in the hard times when it's quarantine, apocalypses and shit. And then you can take your mama's skull and put it on top of the skull tower. You know how insane that fucking, the concept is crazy. This is why I fucking love the movie. Now, the more I'm thinking about it and bringing up different scenes, I gave it you can go look and see what I gave it. I think I might need to bump it up one. I might need to bump it up one, because this movie did do a lot of things good. But there was some goofy shit too.
Inexperienced survivalists make rookie mistakes for the sake of some cheap and easy jump scares, and a completely
This movie doesn't have any good jump scares at all. I love a good jump scare. There wasn't one in this movie. Not one, bro. Not one at all. I watched this late, cuddle sesh, everything, bro. Not one good scare.
Applicable decision when they encounter one of the infected that no character born into this world would ever consider. What can I say? If you know, you know. None of these criticisms are deal breakers, but they undermine what's generally a pretty smart and mature movie that takes itself very seriously.
I have a theory for the baby, and what he's saying, he's talking about the birthing scene. Pretty much, I'm assuming the alpha is the father, the way he was reacting. So we had a alpha zombie, pretty much impregnate a woman zombie. And, this is the birds and the bees and the zombies. And they had a human baby, it appeared, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some health deficiencies or something along the line, because, smoking's bad for your kid. So I'm sure that, having some kind of parasitical, mind-controlling, flesh-rotting virus is probably not the best for an infant child. So I'm sure there's going to be some weird stuff. My theory is, at the beginning, I'm pretty sure, it was a split second, but we saw like a toddler that was a baby along the big old fat lard zombie that was eating worms. And maybe those zombies that are born don't have the ability to walk or the right bone structure. There's a calcium deficiency or something like that. That would be very interesting. Maybe it's, I don't know. Is it the concept of a zombie or a human baby living with zombies in the wild? Do they naturally just become zombies because they get bit because they're already human? Or is it that's how they turn into alphas maybe? Or do they just not get bit at all? Like the zombies don't mess with them because they obviously came from a zombie, so they don't have the nutrients and they turn into these weird crawling zombies. I don't know. The fact that I'm thinking so much about this concept, this movie it's better than I gave the rating for. I feel bad for it. I should have watched this video first, just to ring a couple bells, but it was good.
The ending leaves the narrative wide open for the next movie, and while I've definitely got thoughts about the Jimmy Savile lookalikes who show up in the last few minutes,
yeah,
my bigger concern is that the next film's being overseen by the same girl who directed Candyman and The Marvels.
I didn't know that. Did a good job on this one, I guess.
Yeah, we're kind of fucked, aren't we? Either way, no matter where it ends up going next, 28 years later is a solid horror survival story with a lot of heart behind it.
It is.
It's not perfect, and it's definitely not on the same level as the first movie, but I didn't really expect it to be. And if you're a fan of the series or horror movies in general, you'll definitely find a lot here to appreciate.
I love horror. This was just like I think this was just a good, serious, like, deep hitting toned story. I didn't really find any horror elements. And there's a lot of horror movies that come out these days that don't even feel like horror. They feel like more comedies or thrillers. You know, I just feel like the horror genre, the horror title is thrown around way too loosely these days.
Anyway, that's all I've got for today.
Okay.
Go away now.
Okay. Yeah. He had some good points for sure. He didn't kill it like I expected him to. I'm curious what he would give it a rating for it. I hate number ratings as well. I just give one because, you know, people are gonna ask, and you know, it's fun to try to scale things. But it's probably not the best. It's not the most efficient way, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's a great video. This is by Critical Drinker, obviously. If you've never heard of him, you don't subscribe to him, or you don't like him, or whatever it might be, go try his channel out. Go check him out. Go give him a like on his video, comment on it, man. What we're going to do, we're going to look at the comment section real quick, like we usually do on these type of videos. Next will be 28 Decades Later, featuring Pedro Pascal. I'm actually surprised he wasn't in this movie as well. The amount of movies he's been in is crazy, or just projects in general. Recently it's crazy, and I love Pedro. He was a great actor in Game of Thrones, phenomenal, and he did great voiceovers in The Mandalorian as well. Very good voiceovers. Shout out to John Wayne's kid though. He killed it too. 28 millennia later, the infected re-evolved into humans. Yeah, my mind is really trying to understand this whole concept. It seems really nutty. I think the reason I just walked away with a really bad taste in my mouth with that movie was it was obviously the way they ended it. It was just so corny and out of left field, and it really felt like a different genre just slapped at the very end because they had to like create some kind of transition, but it was the contrast between the tone and it just felt weird and wrong. But you know, that might be what they need, man. I don't know. No Pascal, no Zendaya. Hey, this movie sounds pretty good so far. The intro of 28 Weeks Later is one of the best horror scenes ever made. I can't remember that one exactly. I think it's ironic the shade he threw, but yeah, 28 Hours is a phenomenal movie. You know, this franchise has got some bangers, that's for sure. That's what I gotta say. But my name is Trey Swish. This is the Ether, by the way. Hit that sub button. Let's get to 1K, man. Turn my hobby into a passion. It's already turned into a passion, but you put a little, you know what I mean. But yeah, like the video. Comment down below with your own thoughts. I'm always curious about your perspective and to see how they differ from mine, or maybe just you bring up a specific scene or whatever it might be. I love shooting the shit in the comment section below. But yeah, man, it's been real, and this movie was very interesting. It is a solid watch. I don't think I would go back and watch it a second time in the theaters. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out right now that I haven't seen that I probably won't end up seeing, but there's a lot of good stuff on streaming services. So I don't know. I'll be busy, man. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. My name is Trey Swish. This is the Ether. Deuces.